Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Guess what, guys? It is, and ladies, it is the final lunchtime with Anna of the year, the final one we will be airing. And I'm going to introduce my guest. It's a very special guest. And I guess we say the best for last. We say the best for last. So I want to make a couple of announcements. And Keenan, thank you so much for taking the time to come up on my platform. So I wanted to make a couple of announcements. Let's start with WeCU Human Justice Organization. We have some laws that we're working on changing in the state of Georgia. I want to start with the state of Georgia. As you guys know, there is a 3 strikes law in the state of Georgia. I have people who are incarcerated right now on a life sentence for stealing a wallet because they use that 3 strike law on them. I have other people who I'm working with right now who on an armed robbery, no one ever died or anything, no major injuries, right? And they're sitting in prison right now on a life sentence for an armed robbery. It's very unfortunate. Let's work to change these laws because I think anything over 20 years on an armed robbery is just way too much time, especially if there wasn't anything that was officially taken, right? I have different cases. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about these cases throughout the year, this coming year. We have so much planned out for WeCU. If you'd like to be a part of our staff, volunteer, or part of the board, I will be looking for some new board members. Please contact me. We are a 501c3, as well as, all paperwork is legit, as well as the Lunchtime with Anna LLC. We will be looking for volunteers to step up and help with the fight because the fight is all of us. Together, we can change these laws. Together, we can dismantle a system that really was made for slavery time. Like it was not even thought of what we're going through today, like a lot of these things. Another thing is I've been getting a lot of calls. People are slowly getting heat and water in these prisons. A lot of them have been without heat or water. So consider and remember them, right? During the holidays when everybody was relaxing and chilling Christmas with their family, they were without. Another thing I wanted to talk about, so that's WeCU Human Justice Organization. We will be working with King Darius Productions on the Maurice Navarro Brooks story. He's incarcerated right now for 226 years. He is trying to get out on the CARES Act that was, like I say, rolled out by the Orange Man a few years back. So you guys send a letter out for him. I will be putting that up. And we are working on his movie because, again, this was another 18 or 19-year-old. Kids change, people change, and you will hear Keenan talk about this in a little while. Lunchtime with Anna, I will be hopefully not even hopefully, no. Let me speak it in assistance because it's on my vision board. You guys will see that I look up that way a lot. Lunchtime with Anna will be rolling out the official restaurant that I will be airing from, as well as getting my menu together and ready. And I want you guys to come visit. I want you guys to come visit us at the restaurant. So King Darius Productions, Lunchtime with Anna, WeCU, A&D Superior. A&D Superior is also LLC of mine. So this is what we're planning on doing with A&D Superior. What we do is we help inmates who are getting out of prison. We follow your file for 5 years along with WeCU and Lunchtime with Anna. We all kind of collaborate together, but it is all one entity, if that makes sense. What we do through A&D Superior is we help you get a job. More than likely construction, because a lot of times you can't get a job other places, right? Because they won't even give people the chance once they get out of the system. So we follow your file for 5 years and close it, hopefully successfully without there being any more problems. With that being said, man, It is almost a new year. Can you believe this? Can you believe this, Keenan? Have Keenan here today, author and activist, man. Thank you, thank you, thank you for taking the time to be in here.
No problem.
So let's start. Let's start with tell us a little bit about yourself. Who is Keenan and who? Why? Okay, let's start with who is Keenan. Give me your background.
Okay, cool, cool.
Hey,
So,
don't leave anything behind.
got you. So, as you know, my name is Keenan Hudson. Anna, thank you for welcoming me on the show. It's definitely a privilege, an honor to, you know, give back and to show how a person can be reformed and a person can, change,
Yes.
from things that they try to define of people's past. So long
Mm-hmm.
story short, my name is Keenan Hudson. I'm from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I grew up here in the city, city of poverty. There was a lot of things, that the average kids go through. A lot of trouble, a lot of I had ADHD, growing up as a child. So here it was, I had a single mother, um, single parent household where she tried to raise me and my siblings. And it wasn't easy. I had a stepfather that came into the equation, but pretty much didn't really do too much of a change. My biological father, he was strung out on crack cocaine. This was, I came up during the 80s and 90s era, so that's
That
what
was normal.
that was very normal. So,
Mm-hmm.
so here it was again, me getting kicked out of schools, fighting left and right, fighting with my siblings. I was always considered like the black sheep of the family. However, my mom always knew that even though I had little issues or little conditions, she never
Mm-hmm.
overlooked that. She knew, a mother always knows her child. So
Mm-hmm.
throughout
We
that
do.
process of growing up in the streets of Philadelphia, being around, getting a lot of trouble. Eventually, my mom was actually diagnosed with cancer. When I was like 13 years old, she was diagnosed with cancer. She had the cancer uh, early on, but before she passed, she had beat it at one point, but then it had came back, and it came back very aggressively. And she actually had the cancer, like in the vaginal area, and at that point, I didn't understand. They said that she was sick. I really didn't understand, what they meant. I thought it was just like a common cold or something.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, make a long story short, she wound up dying. She wound up passing away. Actually, it's crazy that we're having this interview today because December 28th is when she passed away back in 2002. So
Wow.
so of course that was very devastating to me as a kid, as a juvenile, as a teen. So I was, left with no choice but to lose my mind. So here it was, me just running the streets. In high school, I wanted to start smoking weed, which I never started smoking. I never smoked before. I started doing different dumb things, as basic teenagers do. Then it came a time where my aunt, she came and took, custody of the kids and me. My brother was just going off to college, and my little sister was going with my other aunt. So pretty much, my mom was only person she was worried about was me because she knew all the trouble that I had gotten into. Um, and then not even a year later, my mom passed away when I was 13. Not even a year later, I had gotten into some big, big trouble. And this big, big trouble actually came and turned into a robbery turned homicide. So here it was a group of friends. It was a group of friends, it was five of us, five. Wanted to get together, we wanted to rob a guy. And just so happened, one of my accomplices that I was with had the gun to the guy's head. And I bear hugged the guy, so I was a planner. So here it was. Once we robbed the guy, took everything off of him, my co-defendant decided to shoot the guy for no apparent reason. So was yeah. So here it was a robbery turned fatal. Now, mind you, I
Fatal.
was only 15 years old. I was like 15 years old, and I didn't understand, what the consequences behind those actions would be. So here it was, our lives were at jeopardy. We're at, on the loose and we're running and, so then here it is, we got our so-called friends, people that, that we so-called ride with, supposed to be the homies and whatnot, started turning around and pointing the finger. He started saying, oh, Biggs did it, BIG did it, and this, that, and the third. So now here we go. We're in a big frenzy in which we know nothing about. So the average person that gets caught up, with the law or in the justice system, the average person doesn't know anything about the law. So here it is. A lot of times our lives are at the mercies of strangers, whether it be DAs, public defenders, blah, blah, et cetera, et cetera. But thank God during that time, my family was actually able to afford me a private counsel, which actually like literally played a big part, on how I got a big break, with a lot that had, because here it was, they was looking to sentence us to death in prison. And if we didn't get the death penalty, they was trying to sentence us to life in prison. But just in time, just in the length of time, during that time, they had passed a law that said they can no longer sentence juveniles to death in prison, but they can seek out a life sentence. So later on down the line, which I will be promoting, I'll tell you, there's a lot in the book that I'm going to be showing you guys. But what happened was, I wound up serving, I wound up getting sentenced to 12 and a half to 25 years. Spending a total like almost 13, well, close to 15, but a total of 13 years in prison before I came home. So here it was. I lost a lot of my life, been through a lot of things, in prison. But however, during that time in prison, once I got my act straight, I started seeking out the things that was going to edify my life and for my future. So I sought out the education programs. I sought out the programs that was going to, enhance my learning. I sought out, doing, productive things. I sought out learning music, teaching musical classes, to special needs units and people with mental health issues. I sought out these things and I became a model inmate that when it did come time for me to see the board, there was no problem for them to release me. Again, I have a lot. It goes really in extent of the book that I'm going to share with you all. But even since then, even since my release back in 2016, even though things didn't happen overnight, I knew that it was going to take, a step-to-step process. My first job when I came home, I was working at a daycare. I was a manager. I was a maintenance man, and I was also security for the daycare. So again, it wasn't making 100,000 right away, but it was something to start me off and to build me step by step of the way. See, a lot of people look for the instant gratification. They want things overnight because they're trying to please people, please this woman, and do this and keep up with the Joneses. But that's not the way it worked. So I had to trust that plan that I had in hand for when I was released, that I knew that things were going to be subject to change, because here it was, I was in an environment where things were highly predicted. But here it is, when you come to the real life, things you can't really predict a lot of things, because you could drive down the street, catch a flat tire. You can miss the bus and be late for work. So everything, you got to wake your own self up now. It's not an alarm. It's not the CO's banging on the door anymore. So now here it is. I was birthed to the world again. Because like I told you, when I went in, I was 15 years old. So everything went on pause out here. I grew up inside there, but when the doors turned for me to come back out, the only thing I remember was 15.
15.
So
yeah, I tell people that it's funny that you say that, right? Because I tell my clients who are lifers, I think we spoke about this before, this interview. A lot of my clients are lifers. They've done 22 years, 25 years, 20 years, 30 years. I think the longest one, no, it's 27, close to 30. All right. So I tell them, I'm like, life went at a standstill. A lot of things have changed. It's going to actually take you a while to get back in the swing of things. And you have to give yourself time, because it's not what you think it's going to be. Like maybe none of it, maybe you're not satisfied with even, I'm not trying to be funny, but who you're dating while you're in there or who you marry. Things really change because you're a different person. You have that freedom. You were locked down, if that makes sense.
That's
You
true.
were their slave. I mean, it's the truth,
Absolutely true.
and I try to tell them this because I want to be that advocate, right? Who's as transparent as possible and helps my clients. Like I said, I don't follow your file for 5 years for nothing.
Absolutely.
Obviously, I've been studying your cases, and I've been seeing what consists of. And when I say your cases, I mean all clients or in particular offenders getting out, as they say in the system. So anyways, and I wanted to say to you that you said at the beginning, I just didn't want to be rude and interrupt you.
Sure.
My condolences to you losing your mother, because a mother is so critical in all of our lives in different stages. We just need mom, especially good moms, we just need moms. And I'm very sorry, that she went through that, you went through that, and you lost her, as me being a cancer survivor myself. I did beat uterine cancer already once. So, I totally understand, and I felt that it hit home for me being a survivor. But I will say this, a lot of times as single moms, right? You focus so much on everybody else that you don't give yourself that breather to say, what about me? And not stress out so much, so I just wanted to make that disclaimer that sometimes, if you do see that, and this is for the entire listening audience, if you see that single mom who's really focused on her kids, you can tell who they are. Absolutely. Give her a break. Ask her how she's feeling. Ask her how you can help. It might save her life. And I hope that was positive, because I'm not coming from a negative place at all, being a survivor myself. I'm not at all. So anyways, continue with your story, because this is powerful.
That was very powerful, what you just, like you said, expounded on, because that's, I believe that a mother, especially a mother that raises a child, I believe that a mother is always a son's first love. It's always, and I was a mama's boy, even though my brother was older than me, but I was still, there for my mother when she needed me.
Were you the middle child?
I was actually middle, the middle.
Yes, I'm a middle child too. Let me tell you one thing: we think for ourselves. Let me don't nobody tell us. To people, it's like they're the black sheep. No, you're not the black sheep. You're like that shining star, because you think for yourself, and you're like, I'm not doing what you're doing, because you're doing what you're not supposed to be doing, and you just don't get in trouble because you're the baby, and then you just whatever, so I trust me, I know I am that middle child too. And big ups to all middle children out there.
It's power, it's deep, you'd be surprised, like you said, you'd be the middle child. Then I had step brothers and sisters siblings too, but it was like, but like you said, being that sheep, I don't know, sometimes it seems like the ones that are more unique, like you said, probably the middle child, or they're always the ones that do a lot. They do the most, that's why you stand out. And like you said, but even standing back to some of the story of, like meaning like even transitioning out, sometimes we got to figure out, our purpose in life. Something like that doesn't come overnight. You know what I mean? So I had to really realize, like, okay, if I'm chosen for something, it's up to me to live out my life through what I'm chosen for. So you may ask, hey, how do I figure out what I'm chosen for? What's my purpose? And the third, well, the truth be told, you just got to keep living to understand that. You know what I'm saying? We can't worry about what people may say, what people may think about us. We just have to go ahead and live according to what our intuition tells us to do. You know, as I say, you know, each and every day, you know, I pray. You know, I'm not sure, you know, I pray to a higher source, a higher power, and whom I deem, you know, dear to me, you know, my Lord and Savior. But whoever you may believe that, you know, your higher source may be, I encourage you to definitely build a personal relationship with your creator. That's very key. Very key. And that's why I say that, you know, I'm working actually on, so do you mind if I introduce the book, Miss Anna?
No, that's so let me tell you guys something. So I was supposed to, it's funny that I'm interviewing him on the anniversary, and I'm not saying funny in a negative way. Again, I don't want you to mistake me, because I know that's a touchy subject, but I was originally supposed to interview him on the drop of his book, right? But things were going on. I have a situation going on with my daughter's expecting a baby, and she's had a lot of complications or whatever. So I've been dealing with a lot of personal things, so I wasn't able to air, but I was like, no, I got to have him come up as my last interview, because it was just, and it's crazy to me that all the dates coincide with something critical in your life, right? That meant something, a date that means something. So I'm just grateful that I'm able to do this. But go ahead, introduce the book, tell us where we can get it. I want to read it, of course, and so forth, so on. Go ahead.
Okay, so so I actually launched a book on December 1st called The Unspoken Truth and Life Story. So right now, as of right now today, it's on Kindle. It's on Kindle. The digital version is on Kindle. You can go to www.keenanhudson.com, but it's on Amazon Kindle, like I said, as well. Again, the physical book comes out January 16th, the actual physical book. So right now I'm just covering a lot of the drafts, you know, the proofreads and everything. Everything is good. It's going to launch on January 16th. That's the actual book. I'm talking about, it goes into detail. When you see, I'm talking about, we got pictures in here, you might see step family. Nice. Yeah, a lot of people don't know yet. So my stepfather was Boricua. So you know, I have a lot of Boricua family. Like, so you're going to see a lot of different diversity. You're going to see a lot of integration, you know, that goes on in here. And again, it goes even detail, even with the case. I have statements and reasonable cause for arrest and everything in here. That's how deep it goes. You know, even letters from the judge. I got pictures with the governor. Also sure by even in the back, I have my own sentencing judge wrote an insert on this book. That's how impressed he was with the book and the things that I've accomplished in life. Wow. So it's you, like I say, it's very deep. It's about to be very powerful. Whereas I'm actually going to be going on tour and speaking all over the world concerning this book and the mission that I'm on. So I actually have other books that I've written as well. But the thing was, the reason why I had to publish this one first is because I wanted the people to know who I was.
That's right. That's right. Mm-hmm. That's right. And there you go.
Know who I went first. And then the other books that's going to be coming, they're going to be like re-entry strategies, showing people, you know, step-by-step process of when you come out. It's not just, you know, you just come out, oh, yeah, no. It starts from inside. It starts with the mindset. It starts with a plan, you know. That's so I have done, you know, I have several books that I've written, which are going to be coming out, you know, after this one is up and going. So again, it's called The Unspoken Truth and Life Story, Keenan Hudson.
Okay, now, you guys, I'm not gonna lie. Keenan did spill the beans, and he did tell me, you know, my stepdad, when we spoke, my stepdad was Boricua. I was like, oh yeah, now we really got a connection, because he's like, he knew like stuff from Puerto Rico, like you wouldn't know that unless you connected to somebody who's from Puerto Rico, Boricua, Huepa, right? So it was just really interesting to know, because I think one of our first conversations, I told them how big I am on supporting us people
Yeah.
of color, right?
Uh-huh.
And us growing. And you having a stepdad that was Boricua, like our roots are really, really deep. People don't
Yeah.
realize this, but our
Mhm.
roots are probably just as deep or deeper than everybody else's. That's real. And I'm
Mhm.
keeping it
Mhm.
100. But to go, first of all, I love those books that you're about to release, but let's talk about this book in particular.
Yes. Yes.
um, so when you wrote this book, were
Yes.
you in there or were you already out?
Okay. Now the biography I actually wrote when I was out here.
Okay.
The other books I actually wrote while I was inside, but the reentry book I couldn't write. Like I said, I couldn't write the reentry book or the biography book until I lived a little bit out here.
Through it.
I had to
Uh-huh.
live through it out here. So like so since I've been home since 2016, now
Mhm.
6 years, now I have things to talk about. Hey, this is what happened. This is what to expect. Blase, blase.
Mhm.
Same with the biography. Then the biography, now some of it I did write in there from the experience in there, but far as and plus my life story from beyond that, far as what I remember, and then it's part of what I wrote, coming out here, which probably not have been a lot because again,
Mhm.
I didn't touch on a lot that I've accomplished out here, except it is an aftermath in the book of what I did accomplish a little bit of. But like I said, there's an afterwards part in this part, whereas it
Okay.
tells you some of those things.
Okay. I'm real excited. I am a actual book,
Yeah,
something
yeah,
about
yeah.
the
I
pages.
agree. Yeah,
I'm one of those.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
So, however, I'm gonna wait for it to come out. I do want
Hmm.
to get it, and even if you have a copy, I know sometimes we do have copies. I don't
Yeah,
mind paying for it, and having you
yeah.
send it to me if you do have one available. If not, that's fine. I'll wait.
So what
But
happened was, I mean to interrupt you. I'm sorry.
no,
So
no,
what
you're
happened
fine.
was the reason why I was launched on December 1st, far as with
Hmm.
Kindle, because it was an advanced reader campaign. So,
Mm,
so to be an advanced reader,
to see.
to hit the bestseller and stuff to
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
nature,
Hmm.
we said, okay, we're gonna give it like a 45-day window. So purchases on the first or throughout that time, but then January 16th, bang, we'll get the book, we can write our reviews and
Hmm.
blase
Hmm.
blase, and God willing, it cross promotes and be bestseller, to that
That's right.
nature. So
That's
that'll be
right.
great.
Yeah, and I could see that you got it. Just speaking with you, I could tell that you have skills. We'll just say
Thank
that
you.
skills, and that you know how and where you wrote that. Now, let me ask you a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Me being an activist, you're an
Hmm.
activist also,
Yes.
because you've actually experienced this.
Yes.
How do you feel? You were 15 when
Hmm.
you got incarcerated. I'm sure you went through a lot. That's young. That's
Yes.
young,
Hmm.
to go in, right?
Hmm.
So, okay, you're incarcerated. How do
Hmm.
you feel about, because I have a problem with anybody who's like a teenager up to the age of 19. I'm like, these are still kids. They're
Hmm.
not fully mature yet.
Hmm. Hmm.
How do you feel? That's my opinion, right? I've
Hmm.
never been to prison. However, I hear these cases, and I have enough love for people to want to help, right? So,
Hmm.
how do you feel about that? Like 18-year-olds on a life
Yeah.
sentence, 15-year-olds, 13-year-olds.
Yeah.
What's your opinion?
It's so sad because, and I know each state carries, different law restraints and different jurisdictions of how they sentence people. As you had mentioned
Mhm,
earlier about people being sentenced to life for stealing the wallet on a third strike and things to
mhm,
that nature. But when you do look at sentencing a juvenile, when you're talking about a
mhm,
juvenile, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19,
mhm,
these kids, we weren't even able to live yet. Even though we made this big mistake, don't get it twisted. A life was taken,
mhm.
which is it's a serious thing. However, at the same time, if we believe in reformation, if we believe in rehabilitation, there should be no reason why the first result and a person with a serious crime should be getting sentenced to life or death in prison. If we believe in rehabilitation.
That's right.
And again, these are kids. The kids couldn't, like me, I couldn't, I didn't go to high school, when I got locked up. I mean, I got my GED, but there's a lot of things that I missed out on in life, which is a part of paying your debt to society, which is understandable. But still, how do you believe in sentencing somebody to life when you're not giving them a chance? Because like you said, the brain is not fully developed.
There you go.
And then it doesn't do any justice when you throw them in there at that age. Because again, as I mentioned earlier, your whole life goes on pause. You grew up inside physically, mentally for what's compatible of the living source inside. But when you return to society, how many bills did you pay? How many times did you go to a settlement table, take out a mortgage on a house? How many times, did you file taxes? How many times did you get a W-2? You can't answer those things because you've never been through the experience. So here it is. Even if they do sentence people to those long terms, 20 years, how do you think they're going to feel when they come out? They're going to feel lost.
Absolutely. See exactly what you're saying. That's what I tell my lifers. It's not what you think it's going to be. You're at a standstill. And it's, and I'm not being mean when I say it. I just try to be as transparent because it's going to be so hard. It's going to be, like you said, something as simple as filing your taxes, something as simple as turning around and opening up a bank account, something as simple as paying your rent, something as simple as paying your auto insurance. People don't understand these little things. Something as simple as carrying a normal relationship with a woman or a man, because there's women that are incarcerated there for life as well. These are things that matter when you come out. When you come out, you slowly have to come back. You're used to that ringing, all that noise while you're in prison. And I mean, I hear these stories all the time, right? So you're used to that. So do you really think that a person that's been pretty much caged up wants to go right outside and be with the world? That's not going to happen. You have trauma. And you can tell me, I mean, I don't know, you experienced it. I'm just going by what I hear clients tell me of how difficult it is for them.
Absolutely. And then you got to remember, I didn't have mommy and daddy to come home to. Some people lost loved ones that passed away. Thank God I did have a couple support, a support system in line, which was actually a pastor. But again, everybody may not have that. But I do encourage that, they do seek out a mentor. But not just seeking out that mentor, but you got to be willing to be receptive. You got to be willing to listen and understand where a person is coming from. Because we're not going to know the things, like I said, I went away when there was flip phones and Nextel, Sprint PCS. That was a long time ago. Now they have, iPhones and tablets and, different things to that nature. So how you going to try to argue with somebody that's trying to teach you, that Bluetooth ain't got nothing to do with going to the dentist? You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people don't understand that. Like I had to learn that. So again, sentencing, those kids that age is that's absurd because my thing is you leave no room for growth. So now you push them in the system to defend for their own. And, if it's up to them, they're not going to do anything, to try to better themselves. So especially when they see those large numbers. So like I said, that's why I'm trying to implement a program and workbook / handbook that can give people that step-to-step guide. Like, listen, when you are about to be reformed and when you are about to be released, this thing is going to start way beforehand.
Yep.
Before
right.
you get out. You can't just assume you're going to know everything because
That's
you're
right.
not going to know what's going on out here.
Not going to know anything.
You're not.
Honestly, time when at a standstill. It's the
Mhm.
truth. You
Yep.
know, it's something as simple, and I try to tell my clients this. It's as simple as a vending machine. It's like a whole new vending machine from the 90s, from the 80s when you went in. They're different. They're
Mhm.
not 2 quarters or
Yeah,
whatever
yeah.
they were then, 45
Mhm.
cents. First of all, they're like
Yeah.
two something, almost $3, and they keep going up.
You
You
know,
know, just today I was at the store and I'm looking at a shampoo. $12 for a shampoo, a
wow.
Pantene that at one point was only $3. You know, these are things that in the 90s, maybe that Pantene was $2. You know what I'm saying? I don't
Mm,
remember because it's been so long and I'm only 29, but
mm.
you know, that price has changed so much, just those little things that can be scary and traumatizing, and then not being prepared. You see, that's why we try to give them jobs through ADS,
Mm,
A&D Superior, through what, and I'm really going to focus on that this year, on making sure that I get them out there and get them working and speaking to
mhm.
some transitional centers, because I think it's very important
Yeah.
for them to be prepared as much as possible. Now, let me
Mhm.
ask you a question. So you said that was difficult, right? Um,
Mhm.
and you were lucky to have a pastor, and I think everybody should have some type of mentor
Mhm.
in their
Mhm.
life, especially transitioning out. So for you, what was the hardest part of being incarcerated at 15 years old for a robbery that really went wrong and there was a fatality and there was deep repercussions for it? Had no support because you didn't have mom. I'm not sure what happened with your stepdad, but
Mhm.
whatever that situation was. Um, what was that the hardest part of getting out? And because I really think that people need to hear this,
Mhm.
what was that for you?
So the hardest part of getting out, like you said, over time, throughout those years, of course, like my aunt, my grandmom would write, but eventually, family members will fade off. They'll
Mm-hmm.
still be around, but they'll fade off because they're doing a lot of time.
Mm-hmm.
So when that time came for me to transition, it was like, wow, the only thing I can rely on is the mentor that's helping me transition.
Mm-hmm.
Now, fortunately, that at that time when I had a home plan that was written out. Um, I was able to go directly to a little basement efficiency apartment
Okay.
at that time, which the pastor made arrangements to, he paid for, but I had to work it off by working through the daycare that he owned. So,
Oh.
but the biggest thing for me was like getting adjusted. Like when I came out, like I said, it wasn't more of a fear of me before I came out, but it's when I came out, I didn't know that people grew up. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't know people had kids.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know, that I wrote as my high school. I actually started to ask one of the kids, did one of my friends still go there? See, this is the mental,
Oh, so it
this is the mental
really broke
trial.
you
And I had to say, whoa.
down.
I had to say, whoa. But then now that explains why a lot of people go back, for reasons because they don't know how to survive on the outside. But I had to stay focused. I had to
Mm-hmm.
stay focused, even though I had to walk in the rain to get to work, even though I had to walk in the snow
Mm-hmm.
to get places, even though I had to catch the bus or public transportation. I had to know that no matter what happens, I got to
Mm-hmm.
remain focused. It took me 2 years. It took me literally 2 years to start dating. That's how
Oh,
serious. That's how serious I was with my transitioning because I said I'm not going to be a victim of the recidivism rate.
that's right.
I'm not going to be upon that percentage. Because they say the average, they say, listen, like literally like 90% of people go back within the first 3 years. But I'm here to
And
tell
see,
you.
that's why I follow their files for 5 years. And, a lot of activists don't. A lot of
Mhm.
activists, they're there for the cameras or whatever, and then
Yeah.
you don't hear from them again. But I
Mhm.
can't see myself doing that because I first of all, I have a heart, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
I can't sit here and be like, well, good luck to you, and whatever.
Mhm.
So I want to make sure that they're doing fine. I have one
Mhm.
that just got out, a lifer. He did 32 years.
Mhm.
And, he just called me again and he was like, look, Anna, I need help again. And, I have to help. Sometimes I'm like, we can't keep doing these same mistakes. But at the
Yeah.
same time,
Yeah.
I got to remember. And see, that's what I had to tell myself. You were in there for 32 years.
Mm.
You're not going to know the world just moved on without you.
Mhm.
I hate to
Mhm.
say that, but it's the reality of what takes place. And it hurts me for those lifers that are in there. Um,
Mm.
I honestly think they should have a lot more visits from people, a lot more just out of the real world. Look, this is what's going on out here. You won't believe this, but this is what we do now. This is what the cars do
Mhm.
now because the Bluetooth and your seats warm up. And, those things did not happen back in the 90s,
Mhm.
early 2000s. It just didn't happen with your
Mhm.
car. Your car, you can give extra money or pay extra money and then have your car turn on while you're
Mm.
inside the house with a button. Those little things that you don't think about, but are a big deal, and I would think are traumatizing when you come back out into the real world. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
okay, so that was the hardest part for you.
Mhm.
What was the easiest part that you were like, this is like nothing for me to do this? um
Um. Wow. That's actually a difficult question because I
okay.
think the easiest part for me was to isolate.
Okay. And
And
that's the word I'm looking for, isolate. Mm-hmm.
isolate.
Mm-hmm.
That was probably the easiest part because when you come out to the scene, okay,
Mm-hmm.
at the beginning, family members, old friends may be like, oh yeah, happy all year, how about yeah, you're home, you're the second, third. But
Oh, it's
eventually
home,
that
yeah.
that dies, that dies down, that dies away.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So now you're trying to
And
fit
then
in.
they get tired of helping.
Yeah, you're gonna get tired of helping, handouts. Oh, I need
That's right.
help with this, I need help. No, you're a grown man.
Yep.
You were so in a rush to get out here, you're gonna have to figure out how you're gonna survive because you're a grown man. So here it is. You try to fit in, you try to meet people. Hey, how you doing? Hey, trying to connect. But people like, nah, we don't got no handouts over here.
That's right.
So it was times where you get rejected. So me, I just, I have my own spot, so I just go on my spot and just chill. But that's because I'm like, dang, like people looking at me like, where this guy come from? Now, mind you, I'm a musician. I learned to play piano inside prison. Came out, so here it is. They got a musical circuit in which people didn't know who I was. So they showed favoritism on whoever the musicians was and things to that nature. But you may not have a lot, when you first come home. So the
That's
thing
right.
is, you got to build yourself up. So now people may see me with my little Fisher Price keyboard that I had when I was inside. So they laughing at me. But the
Mm-hmm.
thing came, later on down the line, when I started building myself up, I started building my credit, started leveraging that, started working jobs, getting raises, started making this $50 an hour, 100,000 a year.
Right.
But then now those very same people started turning around, started reaching out to me. Hey, what you doing?
Yeah.
How are you doing these things?
Let's
But
collaborate together.
you
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Yeah, let's
I
collab.
did.
Now they want to reach out. But that's
Yes.
how the world is. It's sad to say, but that's how the world is.
Yeah.
But like I said, one of
Yeah.
the easiest things to me was to isolate.
Okay.
But nothing else was like just easy in a cakewalk because you
Oh,
had to learn. You had to learn. The crazy thing is, I had to learn the lingo of life out here in the world, and not just the lingo of the world, but you had to learn the work lingo too, because there was a time. There was a time when I was over about like 200 or 300 people. I was supervising all of them, and majority of them were of the Dominican descent, of Colombian, Boricua. So me knowing my stature, I'm 6'7". I'm 6'7", 300. So I automatically, like, I don't be knowing it, but they be like, "Yo, you intimidating," This. So what happens is,
tell them that.
Yeah. So what happened was, and this is key too. So when you're in prison, what happens is, when you're on a basketball court, when you're talking like, "Yeah, what's up, man? You coming to the court? Yeah, let's play ball, man. Let's go, man. If you coming out here with this soft stuff, man, stay in the cell. We don't need you out here." That's just a regular talk. That's regular communication. We just talking. Man, what's up? All right, man, say no more, man. Bring it to the yard then, man. No talk. But here it is, when you're on the assembly line and you see the line stop, "Yo, get the pasando, get to hace. Let's go. See it." Like now it's,
they're probably looking at you like, "Whoa, what?"
He's yelling at us.
Why is he yelling at us?
Exactly.
I know. Exactly.
Because I was so used to that lingo of that. I'm just motivating y'all. Like, I'm just talking. But then one of the ladies had to pull me aside and said, "Listen, Grande," I'll say it in English, but she said, "Grande, you can't." She said, "You got to be gentle with us because we are women." But here it is. I was around men for so long that I thought this was just a regular talk. But I didn't know you had to be a lot of gentle.
So may you please translate that, how she said it to you in Spanish? Maybe in Boricua, I always give love to my Hispanic folks.
Oh my God, I'm gonna let you translate. He said, "Do I traducir a todo? Do I traducir a todo?" Go ahead. Traducir.
Sí.
No, I'm gonna let you translate. Go ahead, darling.
Okay, so she told you what again? She told you to take it easy?
She said, "Hey, Grande." She said, "Grande." She said, "Hey, when you talk to us, like when you speak to us, you have to speak very gentle."
Así que cuando hables con nosotros, tienes que tener un tono más bajo, porque somos mujeres y nos sentimos intimidadas por usted. Pretty much that's what she said, huh?
We're sensitive.
Yes, and women are. We usually are. We are very sensitive. I'm one of those tougher ones. Like I'm a thicker skin. I'm like, hold up, no. But that's my leadership. I automatically I'm like, okay, this is what we're gonna do, and I'm kind of learning to not be so much like that, because it's not that I'm pushy. I just want to get things done. So. But okay, so that was the easiest part. Now, when you get out, what was the judgment? Even though you prepared yourself, you went to college, you played instruments, and I want to go back into the special needs because I don't know if you knew this, I do have a special needs son, but you went ahead and you prepared yourself as much as possible. I tell all my clients, go back to school. Go back to school, because not only is that going to help you, but it's going to help your resume when you get out. Automatically. And if you can get it for free, get it for free. Okay. So you put yourself through school, you prepare yourself. How was the judgment getting out on a murder? Right? Because that's what it was. You got out on a murder. How was that getting out? How was the judgment? Were you pretty lucky? Was it
well, the judgment from which standpoint?
Okay, so we'll start here, because you got a hiring manager, right? So I'm sure you had to explain to them, look, I did that.
A hiring manager, what do you mean?
15 years old. So okay, let's say
because I know we got different terminologies.
Yeah, because you're from up north. So supervisor, human resources, corporate.
Oh, you talking about while I was released or while I was still inside?
No, once you come out, right?
Okay.
Once you come out to the real
Oh,
world.
you're talking about during okay, you're talking about like during interviews, job interviews.
See, in
Oh,
2016, you turn around and you're like,
okay.
look, this is my
So,
background, because this is the reality of what happens,
yeah.
right? This is my
Yeah.
background. What
Okay.
was that like? Was it
So
tough?
So that, yeah, and that is a good topic to bring up. Because okay, so fortunately, as I mentioned, that the first job that was landed was the daycare, right?
Okay. Mhm.
So of course I knew the CEO. It was upon his discretion to bring me in, blase, blase. Cool. But it came a time when I had to leave there. And it came a time where, you got to level up. But because
You
at
gotta
first,
level up. Absolutely.
at
You gotta
first I
keep
thought,
leveling up. That's
yeah,
right.
because at first I thought that was the only thing they had to offer, because society says, people say, the media say, oh, if you have a felony, you can't get a job.
That's not true.
So I wound up leaving there.
Might be hard, but somebody like me would give you a
I
chance.
started going different places. I was searching, Some people were shutting the door on my face.
Okay.
Wendy's, one of the ladies said at Wendy's, she said, look, she said, I'm glad that you're honest with me, this, that, and the third, but she said, I'm gonna be honest with you. Even though we're allowed to give you the interviews and things of that nature, but we don't even have to call you back. But she said, I'm just keeping an eye.
Wendy's?
Yeah, Wendy's, different places, they were saying that. So, and this is the crazy thing. So after that, I actually went to a place called Foreman Mills, which is a retail clothing store. I went there. They asked for all the details. Hey, have you been convicted? Yes. This, that, and the third. Hey, here's my PR, blah, 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 blah. Put it all in. They hired me. The hiring manager, she loved me to death. By this time, I'm working in the store. I'm around hundreds of thousands of dollars that they're counting with the money machines at this place. Like I'm around. That's how much they trusted me. They even started to give me a key to the store. The store manager said, "Hey, listen, I'm going to give you now. I'm about 2 months into the job." She said, "I'm going to give you a promotion." Now, mind you, I was only making $8. She said, "I'm going to give you a promotion. It's a 50-cent raise." So I'm like, all right, cool. I said, all right.
50 cents.
It's better than not having a job, because nobody was giving me anything. So long story short, they did the paperwork. They sent it to central office. Central office called the store, told the store manager, hey, that guy, Keenan Hudson, you got to release him as a seasonal hire. She said, why? What happened? Because he's a convicted felon. Now, here it is. That was during the time of my probation period that she gave me that it was about to lead over, when I was about to change over and get the raise. She was so heartbroken. But I didn't allow the discouragement. I said, wow, they did it like that. They said it must have been something they overlooked in the application, when I first started working. But she was so heartbroken. But I didn't give up. They let me go. I was at the temp agency the next day.
That's right.
Temp agency. I said, listen, I said, whatever y'all got available, I just need something coming in. Whatever y'all got available. They said, all right, we got a job. It's like a dungeon. It's like a prison down there, but they only paying you $7.25. I said, I'll take it. And I took it. I went on and took it. I was there for about 8 months, 9 months, close to a year. I was grinding for like 8 months. I got into that company.
Barely surviving, huh?
Yeah. Well, I was working my way up. Like, it wasn't more so barely, and by this time I started teaching people piano.
Okay.
Kids.
So you were making money on the side.
Income. I was able to buy my first little Chevy Lumina, 1999. But then somebody said, hey, there's these other jobs that's paying a lot more money.
Okay.
Which was about 30, 40 minutes away. But my little Chevy Lumina, 1999, I was like, I don't know if it's going to make it up there, but I was going to go to the interview. So I went to the interview. The car starts smoking, this, that, and the third.
Oh.
And I was like, oh my God. But I said, I have faith. I said, Lord, said, if this is you, I'm going to take this job. Because the job was giving way more money than the other one. Next thing you know, I got to the interview. Thank God this job, they didn't look at your record and all that. And it was a great paying job. Next thing you know, I took the job, got there. I knew that if I saved up the right amount of money within 1 month, I was going to be able to get a little better car. So I did that. I had to keep putting antifreeze in the 19.9 Chevy Lumina because I didn't know how to fix it. My dumb behind, instead of me taking it to a shop, I thought I could tape it up or something like that. But I did it. I was able to get a car. The next thing you know, I was rolling. Next thing you know, I got a promotion. Was lead supervisor. Next thing you know, they was promoting me. I was making 20, 25, and damn near making 50. Then making 100,000 a year. So it was elevations. It was steps that I had to take because you got to always remember this. And this one nugget that I want to share: that rock bottom is going to teach you lessons that the mountaintop won't.
That's right.
You got to learn from the bottom first because if everything is
just given hit rock bottom. There you go. Yes.
If everything is just given to you, you're not going to know how to appreciate anything.
Right. That's right.
That's right.
That's a goal that I tell everybody. Start off at 10,000, go up to 20,000, continue up till you can hit 100,000, and then try to see how much higher you can go, just to see what you can accomplish and test yourself, push yourself each year to do more and gain more income different ways. You know what I'm saying? Because it's possible. We can all do it, and it's not impossible. You just have to have that fuel, that fire to say, I'm going to get out of this. And I figured that it would have been hard for you. I really did, because people don't take it so easy with anybody who's had a felony, right? But more something like murder. They don't even listen to the fact of, okay, I didn't even kill the person. It wasn't even me. Or maybe it was a self-defense. Maybe this or that. They don't care. All they see is murder, So I figured that.
And the crazy thing is, like you said, starting from that bottom part, because again, if you try to start up here, you're not going to know what it's going to take to get somewhere. So if you had to start over, like if I had to start over again, like if I lost everything today, I know I could get everything back in 3 months, just from the experiences that I've been through. That I understand how to navigate now. I could go here for this. I could go there for that. Or if I need to buy a house, I can do this. I can do that. I can go buy this property. You see what I'm saying? Just from the experience.
That's right.
But you got to go through something in order to get that experience. You can't just think, okay. See, a lot of people don't know, and I mentioned this in one of my other book that's going to be coming. A support system is more than just $1,000 in your pocket. A support system is more than just having a place to work. A support system is more than just having a place to live. If you don't have somebody that's teaching you step-by-step guide on how life works, you're going to be lost. Because I could give you $20,000 in your pocket right now. If you're not good with money management skills, if you've been living, you've been in prison for all these years, you're not going to know what to do with that $20,000.
You're absolutely right.
That's going to go right out the door. You won't think, oh yeah, I'm up. No, you're not up.
Because you're not. That's nothing. That like $20,000. I can go through $20,000. I hate to say this, in 2 weeks if I really want to.
I think I could go through $20,000 in a day.
In a day, if you really want to, but I'm saying, like, if you're trying to think you're cool and you can, I'm going to give them a week. But let me tell you one thing: it's nothing. Like $100,000 is nothing today. It's really nothing. I tell people, I'm like, you have no idea. And see, this is why I try to, with my clients, I try to explain to them, look. This, be prepared. But I don't think they understand, and I don't think anybody's really going to get it until you're actually out. You're like, okay, now it's me. And I try to be that support system in everybody's life, but you can't win.
But the scary thing about that is they're not going to know till they get out, but then it's going to be too late, because then they're going to be on their way back. That's the scary part about that. After you try to forewarn them, and sometimes even coming from a female or somebody that hasn't been in a predicament, it kind of doesn't register the way it would before. Like somebody like me, I'll let you know, listen, this is what's going to happen. I'm telling you because I went through it. So it's either you're going to receive it or you go ahead and do whatever you want to do, but you're not going to waste my time.
That's right.
But that's why I was saying, that the book, of what's going to be coming out and be like, hey, this is what's going to be what, blah, 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 and da, 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 and that's how it's going to be. But again, if the person is seeking a mentor, you got to be receptive of that mentor because they're not going to tell you, oh, go rob somebody else. They're not going to tell you that if you have a good mentor.
That's right.
But having that good mentor is very important.
So, Keenan, if it's okay with you, and I know you're going to be traveling the world, so I know you're going to be pretty busy. There's some laws that I really got to work on, and that's one of my goals for 2023 in the state of Georgia. I want to start with the state of Georgia. If you're available, I can always use another activist. I can always use somebody who's about it. I can always use somebody who's been there and truly can say, look, an 18 or a 19-year-old or a 17-year-old or a 15-year-old does not have the mentality of a 25-year-old. It just there's no way. And then what aggravates me is they're at a standstill. They're at a standstill and they didn't get those skills that you normally would get. The one of being the husband, the one of being this, of being that, those little things. And, I really would like, if you could, and if you're available, to help change these laws. Like I said, there's a 3-strike law in the state of Georgia. We want to help these people who are stuck in prison on stealing a wallet. You know what I'm saying? Because you did dumb stuff being young, or because you were addicted to drugs in the 80s or 90s. Let's say how it is. That was a crack epidemic who really affected our people. That's the truth. You having a stepdad who's Boricua, it affected all of us people.
Yeah.
You know it firsthand. Okay. So I say all that to say this, if you're available, and I really, once you roll out those other books, I really want you to come back because I want people to see these are the steps. This is what's going to happen after you get out of prison. This is the reality. You think it's going to be something, but it's going to be hard. For any large amount of time. Because if you think about it, that's traumatizing. And the door slamming and then the noises and when somebody calls you from a wall phone, you hear all of that and it's like it traumatizes you and you're out here. Imagine being in there, so right. I always think about that and
and that's definitely I totally understand. Like if you ever need my help, you need me to join a Zoom call, conference call, amongst officials, I will always be willing to give my time and let you know my insight, the best way I know how. It's no problem. You have my word on that. You just give me a heads up, advance notice, and we can definitely set time, and really have a down-to-earth professional call concerning these matters. Because like I said, I've speak already with a lot of people, professors and actual judges and lawyers that ask, with concerns of that, because like I told you, I actually have like that sentencing judge I showed you on the back, Benjamin Lerner, him, he's well known in the state of Pennsylvania and let alone, in a lot of these big associations throughout the country. And for him, like I said, again, for him to be, honored, in this way of some of the things that he mentioned to me even before my sentencing, and I ran along with it, took heed to what he said, it's very profound. And they wanted to ask, well, how can that be implemented to others? Because everybody may not have that drive that we may have. You may look for you and someone else, but at the same time, you'll be wasting time. But again, it always starts with the individual. And I believe that if we encourage each other and we build each other up, we can all build a better world.
Man, I you know what? I think we need to end the show on that great note. I really do. You couldn't have said that better. Um, Keenan, thank you so much for
Yes.
coming on my platform.
Thank you.
I don't think an hour was enough time. I really don't. You are an exceptional soul, and I'm glad that you've used the negative in your life to bring all this positive and to help people. And like I said, anything you need my help with, let me know and I'll make it happen. I'm always traveling somewhere, right? Especially Georgia and Florida But anything that you need my help with, let me know. Because I think it's very important to change these laws, especially with now men who
Yeah.
were so young when they went in that should have an opportunity to get out. And like I said, that's going to be one of my major fights for 2023. So together, I think we can make change, and in numbers, we can make change. um, with that being said, you guys have a wonderful new year. And
Yes.
if anybody's drinking or doing other things, please be safe at whatever you do. I'm one of those, I don't really celebrate the new year neither. I'm a pretty lax person, but to all who do celebrate, enjoy your time with your loved ones or with your friends, doing whatever it is that you do. Y'all, like I said, on 1/1, it'll be 4 years of lunchtime with Anna. So I'm pretty excited. I've been able to do this for 4 years now. That restaurant will be coming out this year by the end of the year. I'm not even going to say maybe, it's going to be out, and I'm going to have my menu and everything ready. So it's on my vision board, and that's going to happen. With that being said, thank you again, Keenan, for coming in.
Okay. Indeed. Thank you.
Full year.
Let me know. Keep me posted.
All
All right.
righty.
Take care. All right. Bye bye.